This video is about a basic diorama that you can use to make a very simple diorama for beginners and children, and that can be modified to make something much more advanced. It shows you how to make a very fast, easy, and inexpensive landscape to which you add buildings and other scenery as you wish. In this video, we will make a very simple small diorama that we use for group activities at summer camps for kids 6 to 16. It is also very useful for quality time family activity. You can get the parts to make this diorama and much more information about making more simple and advanced dioramas through the links below this video. Let's start by looking at the materials that you'll use. Links to each of the pieces here are below, and you can see how to make them through the links. We use some buildings, some kids' trees, and some fences. We mount them on a board. You can use thick cardboard. Here I'm using MDF. You can also use styrofoam. You measure that board to the size you want. We're going to glue the pieces to the base. We'll glue basil and potting soil to that base to make the landscape. Very simple. We'll need a couple tools, something to spread the glue. You can use an old paintbrush or some other spreader, a knife, a spatula. Then we're going to need an awl or sharp nail, something to punch in the post holes when it's time to add the fences. I have cheated. I made the fences in advance. You can see the video. Let's do our layout. Put our buildings in place. You put the buildings wherever you want. Let the kids be creative. You can use any type building. I'm just using these because these are what I use at the camps, and the kids love them. Now, once we get this stuff in place, our layout in place, we're going to take a black marker or pencil or whatever else and mark our base so that we have a plan. Because the next step is going to be to add dirt and to add the basil to the base. All the buildings, etc., will be off. With everything in place, let's use a magic marker to make our basic layout. Remember, like I said, I cheated on the fences. Normally, I put my post holes in later and make the fences in place. But I've made this layout so many times with the kids. I know the basic layout that I start with. I let the kids make the adjustments as they wish. And of course, you can do the same thing. You may make a totally different diorama. The most important thing really about this video is to emphasize that let the kids be creative, and you be creative yourself too. You can make whatever scenic diorama you want using the same basic procedure for adding the grass, which is basil or oregano, any green spice, anything, even green sawdust, and potting soil. I just take regular potting soil, strain it, put it in a blender, and get something nice and fine. And you'll see how easy it is to add. So we go ahead, mark out where we want. And remember, this is not cast in stone. You can come back and make the changes at any time. That's what's so wonderful about this. The kids can make a mistake, they can fix it, they can change it, they can do whatever they want. You get the dirt in place, add more grass. You get the grass in place, add more dirt. So we mark out everything and then simply look at it, play with it, let the kids have some fun. One kid was so creative, he even cut a hole in the roof of the building and put a paper car in there. Did a car crash through the building? They do whatever they want. Let them have fun. Let them be creative. At this point, I'm going to speed the video up to 4 times the normal speed because it's somewhat repetitive. But we have our layout. Now, notice I've changed the layout a little bit. That's the way it's done. We've had kids make these roads and pathways so different in every case. Let them go. Now, if you have a scene that you want to make for a more advanced diorama, go ahead. Lay it out the way you want. Again, I say that because of the simplicity. We add glue first to the road area or the path area because I'm going to put on that the potting soil. So it's a simple matter of putting the glue in place and then brushing it. Don't make it too awful thick. You want to keep it thin, because your potting soil will stick very quickly when it's thin. You don't get bumps. You don't have to wait for it to dry. I prefer to use a brush of some form. You can use a sponge. You don't need a brush. You can use a piece of paper or cardboard to spread it thin. So you add your glue, and then once you add your glue, you add to the top of that glue your potting soil, and then you dump that potting soil off and you have a nice path. Once we have the dirt in place, now we're going to go ahead and add the grass. Once again, we're just going to add the glue. Don't worry too much about the edges around the dirt. We go back and we can fill in later at any time. We can also change the layout. If the grass is in the wrong place, we can cover that grass with dirt. We can make whatever changes we want. Just let the kids be creative. They don't have to be neat. They'll like whatever they do in the end. It's all changeable. The grass we use in this case is a spice. You can use any spice, green spice. Not green enough, use food color, dye. You can also use sawdust. You also remember, if you want to do something more advanced, you can use static grass tufts or static grass alone around that dirt. This is a basic diorama. Use it as you wish. If you use static grass, you can really make this look super. But in this case, like I say, we're adding the basil, pour it over the glue, and let it sit for a second. I take the basil and press it down because the basil tends to stand up a little bit. I'll press it down with my fingers, then go ahead and dump it, and I have a nice looking basic diorama from which I can go on and add whatever buildings I want and whatever other scenery I want. I have glued the buildings and the trees in place, and this is what the diorama looks like now without the addition of any other items. You can, at this point, add the fences. Most of the time, the kids punch in the post holes and build the fences in place. Use toothpicks, skewers, etc. Look at the video I have on building fences, but they can be built in place to fit the diorama layout that you have. That layout can be in many forms, so when you add the fences, you can have them in different shapes. You can also add fences up alongside the road towards the barn or towards whatever you wish. Now, what we're going to do is finish this up by adding some bushes. The bushes are made from sponge. Take a kitchen sponge or another sponge and cut them up into small pieces and color them. Color them with food color, with grit dye, wool dye, any sort of material, even paint them, and then put the bushes in place. You can put the bushes alongside the building bases and in the corner. Also, add some paper cows, paper horses. You can load them through the links below. Add cars, add people, add flowers. This is what you get. It's basic diorama. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe to get access to our library with many more videos, and watch the videos that you see linked below. Have a good day.